Libertus. The experience of freedom is often quite different from what we expect. In fact, what we experience feels like clarity or certainty because freedom is moving with reality and depends on the degree to which a force can merge with and reflect reality. The reason for the confusion about freedom is perhaps that we tend to think of freedom only in a political sense. This view assumes, as do many other arguments, that we can envision all from a very limited viewpoint. In this and in many other ways, we are like the fish in a saltwater tank who think that they understand the whole life of the ocean by living in a tiny tank. Their life, the fish believe, is the life of the ocean, even though they bump into glass walls, false plants, and filtering equipment, and may be aware of other patterns and notice that something functions other than the tank. The objects, often even the flowers and life forms in the tank, were manufactured for the tank. The tank is nonetheless real, but the tank is limited. We cannot know our lives and freedom without accepting our real responsibilities and seeking ways to flow with reality. This responsibility includes, but is not defined only by political freedom, which is liberty. The subpolis, the organization of forces within a subreality, is like all aspects of a subreality. It reflects the movements and the goal of the forces of a subreality, beginning with the degree of mutual consent. Liberty depends upon mutual consent and common vision. Usually, mutual consent and common vision implies leaving each polis to its own liberty. For example, if we wander into a jungle of other species, we may be killed because we have invaded and disturbed the jungle polis. To these creatures, we are either food or we are a danger. A similar disjuncture occurs in human culture. A man who holds a gun to my head and is about to shoot because he thinks that I am in some way a danger to him will not stop because I tell him I am a pacifist. If I am a pacifist and he is not, then we are either not from the same subpolis or we are in a state of crisis. Thus, assuming freedom is desired, the values of a human subpolis, too often determined by a small self-interested group, need to begin with liberty at the grassroots level if liberty is to prosper, since other values will limit liberty. This entity, a view from the nature of the subpolis, presents the early stages of liberty at the foundations of the subpolis. Constant strains that disturb mutual consent interact with powerful softening elements to enable all forces to find harmony without loss of identity. We need to see this entity, and others as well, as if the elements are floating and the elements shift and change shapes. The view we have is only one event of those many events of transformation, as consent or crisis attempts to emerge. The crisis motions are seen in the limits, the dominant feature in this glimpse, whereas the consensual element is in the forces pushing against the limits. The limits are not, of course, boundaries, the nature of a single sub-reality, but tendencies and activities. Other elements, two within the crisis activity, one with liberty, indicate three formed identities. For a longer introduction to the entities, please visit johnclarksmith.com and click on Entities.